I'm going to go over the basics of the new Self-Service Carolina view. The screen looks different when you log in, and so this can be disorienting. As I already said over email, all the functionality that we're used to having for advising is there. Some of it looks different though, and so I want to show you that. When you sign in, which I'm going to do now, you may be asked to choose a role, and the best role to choose is faculty and advisor. And you can see also that that is the tab that you'll do advising stuff from, faculty and advisors. This is plural, but your role is faculty and advisor. Anyhow, to select the term and to enter a student's name or ID number, you go to term and ID selection. To look up the course schedule and to access Schedule Planner, you go to Course Schedule Search. And this is the old familiar lookup classes that you've probably used before that lets you see the whole live schedule with the number of seats and all of that good stuff, which of course is really useful so that you're not putting people in classes that are closed, which is not a good advising technique. So this, I'm sure you're used to seeing the entire fall schedule with seat numbers. The number of seats remaining is under the remaining column. The number of students in the class is under actual for actual enrollment. So going back to my faculty and advisors tab, there is also advisee information, which we'll take a look at in a minute. There's a function called advisee search now, which is new. It leads to the advisee profile, which is a screen from which you can access all kinds of information, such as what holds the student has, their placement test scores, their email and phone number, and other things as well. Advisor transactions is where you lift advising holds now, and you can see remove advisement holds is a link there. There's also a link now to the transfer equivalency databases, which is very useful to have this, just right here. There's also withdrawal and refund deadlines. That's very useful because different campuses have different deadlines. So for example, if you have a student going to USC Sumter but taking a Palmetto College class, they're going to have different deadlines than the USC Sumter deadlines. And so here's how you get to that. Anyhow, let's go in and look at the student profile screen. You click Advisee Search, and you may be asked to authenticate, which we're going to do now. And once you've logged in, you get to a screen that looks like this. Advisee search, you choose the term, and you choose the method for looking up the student. You can do their email, ID number, or name. Typically, when it's a NSAR advisee, the name is easiest. So that when they pop up in the list, you click that name, click View Profile, and then you get a screen that has a photo if they've had their photo made and uploaded to the system. And again, that's something students do at NSAR, so they may not have photos at orientation yet. This particular photo, I think, was taken over 10 years ago, I could say, judging from the glasses. Anyhow, maybe time to update that. Under testing here is where you find placement test scores. If they've taken the tests, and they should at least have foreign language when they're at orientation, because they take that day. They may not have taken math placement yet, and of course that's where you put on the advising form math pending math placement test. Students are not good about that always. You can also see on this screen the email, the phone number, things like what level they're at. Class, that would be freshman for most NSAR students. There's also a over here on the right, a tab for holds. This would be things like business office holds and other things that prevent students from registering. The advisement hold is over here under registration notices, and so those tabs can be very useful as well for advising. You can see also for active students, there's going to be GPA information on this screen, and if a student is signed up for classes, they'll be their classes will be listed here as well. To get back to our Faculty and Advisors tab, we just click Faculty and Advisors, takes us back to that home screen. The other thing I wanted to look at really quick is Schedule Planner, and quickly put together a typical freshman schedule for a kid who hasn't had college classes yet. Remember that a lot of our incoming students have had dual enrollment, and the only place that these classes may be indicated is on their high school transcript. And I've got information about how to read those in the email I sent out earlier. So once you've selected your term and campus, click Save and Continue in Schedule Planner, and then we add courses by clicking Add Course. We're going to say this student needs an AIU. So Art History 105. This student needs an SCI. They're not a science major, so we're going to say general biology. And of course, English 101. Do ask students if they've had college credit. If they've had dual enrollment, you'll see that on the high school transcript. Occasionally, incoming students' transcripts slip under the radar, and they've taken college classes that we don't know about. That's rare, but we just don't want a student to have to take a class twice or pay for a class twice. And we'll do Math 111I here. So once we've chosen the courses, we click Done, and then it's important with most students to go into Options and choose, or actually unselect. There's only one section of this, so can't do much with that. Unselect classes that the student doesn't want or perhaps should not be in. What I mean by that is, for example, if a student is an athlete, they shouldn't be taking night classes, so we're going to unselect that. And probably first-time freshmen don't need to be in night classes either, unless they ask for them. First-time freshmen also should not take online classes, and so we're going to uncheck this online class. What I mean is in their first semester. It's not a good idea for students to take online classes, even if they have, oh, you know what else we're going to do? We're going to uncheck My English 101, because that's the OSP section. Please do that so that you're not advising students into a class they're not going to be allowed to add. Most students at NSAR are not in OSP yet. They haven't completed the application process. They may not have even started the application process. And so they're not going to be able to add this class. Once they are accepted into OSP, an OSP advisor will work with them and get them a schedule with the OSP sections. The only two OSP sections in the fall are My English 101 class and Section 6A of Math 111I. So we're going to uncheck that as well. And finally, there's probably evening and online poli-sci classes, so we're going to avoid those for first semester, first-time freshmen. Once they get their feet wet in college, they can handle an online class probably. Of course, there will be the students, and it's quite a few of them in my experience, who simply do not want online classes, and well, that's fine. You know, unless they're in a jam with a course they absolutely have to have, or in a jam with Life Scholarship and have to, quickly add a class, something like that, well then yeah, if they don't want online classes, just uncheck those, and that won't come up it won't come up when you generate schedules. So anything we unchecked is not going to come up here. We did end up with 26 schedules. The best way to go through these, I've found, is mouse over the magnifying glass and ask the student, do you prefer a schedule that's kind of spread out like this one? Or do you prefer a more concentrated schedule where classes are back to back? Lots of students like either option. So if you mouse over the schedules, you can see, okay, yeah, that's what this one looks like. It's heavily Tuesday, Thursday. Some students are going to like that. Others would rather take a schedule like this where things are much more evenly distributed because they don't want to sit in class for 4 or 5 hours at a time. Once you have narrowed down the way that they want their schedule to look, let's say the student is gung-ho about their last class on Monday, Wednesday, Friday gets out at 9:50, yay, they're done. You choose the schedules that they like, print the schedule for the student, and also save a copy, save a PDF by going to print and selecting Adobe PDF. That's not showing up on my Mac, but I swear it's an option on your Windows computer. And so print to PDF and name the schedule something like Hayes Hampton Schedule 1 Fall 2019, because I usually do a couple of schedules, so Schedule 1, Schedule 2 for that student. Print the schedule, give it to them, and then they take that to the registration room at orientation, and that's how they get signed up for classes. We've unselected the evening, the online, and the OSP sections, and that's a good idea during NSAR because most students are incoming first-time freshmen, maybe have had some dual enrollment, but haven't had to do a real college schedule with everything being a college class and being much more difficult. So they probably don't need those online classes their first semester. Once you're done in Schedule Planner, you click Sign Out, and that takes you back to the main advising screen. Now I have to select a role. So I'm faculty and advisor, and so to get back to that home screen, we click faculty and advisor. And so here we are. If you have questions, there are a couple of tutorials in here. You click course schedule search, for example. There's a browse classes tutorial. Browse classes is not a great function in my estimation because you can't choose multiple subject areas at once like you can in lookup classes or schedule planner, and so I don't find it that interesting. But if you want to play around with it, you can, of course. And then under advisee information, there's a tutorial about that advisee profile screen that we looked at. So this is where everything is in the new Self-Service Carolina. As I said, everything you're used to doing, you can still do. If you do have questions, though, make sure you contact us in the Office of Records and Advisement. On NSAR days, the best way to get a hold of me is by email because I'm running around campus and not by my phone. Except during the advising period, of course, I'll be in my office the same time you are advising students. But other times during the day, just email me. I'll try to also make a trip around campus and see how people are doing. If you have any questions, though, let me know, and happy advising.